What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of Life's a Garden. It's our annual Independence Day holiday special. Now I know, I'm a little late to the game. 4th of July has already been and gone. But freedom don't take any days off. So we can do the Independence Day special whenever we want. Now in reality, the reason I'm late to this is because I didn't do an episode last week, which is when the 4th of July episode should have been. I was out of town. I was in Denver seeing Metallica, which, if you ask me, is about as American as it gets. I kind of did forget that I needed to put out the holiday special last week. So, hey, you know what? We still rock with it. We're a couple days late. We can still celebrate. It's all good. We're still going to have a good time. Now, before we get into this holiday special, let's go ahead and do our positive motivational message of the week. And what better place to get some inspiration from than one of the greatest presidents of all time, Mr. Abraham Lincoln, who said, "A house divided cannot stand." And I think that's very fitting in today's political climate. Not just political climate, you can use that in your own personal life. A house divided cannot stand, which means we need to be unified. We need to bring unity into our lives. We may disagree on certain things, like I said, politically, religious, anything. There's so many divisive things that can divide people from each other. But we need to find common ground. We need to come together and unify and be a nation, be a people, be companions, be friends. That's all it's about. Just let's be united as one human race. We can find more common ground than we can find things that divide us. Truly. And with that, let's go ahead and get in to today's Independence Day holiday special of Life's a Garden.
I'm an American badass. Watch me kick. You can roll with rock or you can radio. I'm a porno flick. I'm like Amazing Grace. I'm gonna some after I rock this place. Super fly, living double wide, sidecar my glide so Joe C can ride. Boom, the share, bringing flash and flare. Got the long hair swinging, finger in the air. Snakeskin suit, 65 Chevelle. See me ride and sin, hear the rebel yell. I won't live to tell. So if you do, give the next generation a big.
Almost completely ruined that entire intro there at the end. I was fumbling all over my words there. But, you know what? I had already taken so many takes on that, I don't feel like doing it all over again. So what you see is what you get. You're getting the raw shit on that one. You're probably thinking, God, how many beers has he had today? Well, the answer is not just one. The answer is, I think this is number 3 on the day. So, the fumbling of the words was not booze-induced. It was definitely my brain just having an absolute meltdown. Did have a couple of brews today on the golf course. Went out and played some golf with my brother and a couple of his buddies. Which, what could be more American than playing a game that was invented by the Scottish? Great day of golf, by the way. Weather was perfect. I probably that might have been my best game I've ever had playing golf, which is not saying much. Don't get me wrong. When I say that, just know it was not horrendous, because that's usually how my games go. And this is my first golf outing this summer, actually. So, it was nice to get out on the green. I definitely had a couple of bad shots there for sure. My mid-range game for the first couple holes was just absolute trash. I was driving the ball pretty decent, but you know what? My putting game today was as good as it's ever been. I had a couple of 20-foot putts that nearly went in. Just I had the right read on the green on the greens where I was getting the right breaks. Felt so good. It's just a good feeling when you have a nice outing on golf. I got to get that mid-range figured out though. Toward the end, the last few holes, I was starting to kind of get the mid-range down a little bit more. Couple of those boys, man, they know how to play. And I'm such a competitor that I have a hard time just having the fun of it. Like, I want to be good as well, but it's always fun to watch somebody else who's good at what they do and just admire the skill from right up close. So, no complaints for me. And you know what? Like I said, I had a decent enough game that I'm not down on myself. I only played the 9 holes, which is perfect. I have a hard time with a full 18. The day starts wearing on you. But you know what? Probably one of the better outings and just more fun outings on golf. And golf's a sport I'm just now starting to get into, which just completely shows my age. Once you start getting to that point when you hated golf forever and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Golf is actually a pretty damn cool sport. I'll even watch golf. I used to hate watching golf. I'll watch it now. I love it. It's a great time. I don't get out there nearly enough, but you know what? Happy 4th of July. I know, again, a little late, but nonetheless, hope everybody had a great 4th. Hope you all did some barbecuing. Hope you went and watched some fireworks. Hopefully you still have all 10 of your fingers after this weekend. We had a great 4th of July. Oh, before I get into my 4th of July weekend, let me just send y'all a little reminder out here. Next weekend, not this upcoming weekend, next weekend, July 18th, my band Cutthroat will be playing out at Clyde Park, which is just north of Livingston. I believe it's not too far from Helena as well. So for any of our fans out there that are in the Livingston, Bozeman, Helena areas who might want to come out and check us out, let me get the exact address, because you can go to our Facebook page or our Instagram. It's on both of those, but I will get you the exact address right here. It is the Shields Valley Summerfest. We are playing July 18th, Friday night. The shows, it's a 2-day festival. I don't believe there's any cover charge. Donations are welcome, I believe is how it goes. Don't quote me on that. I'm not going to be the one that... Don't be showing up being like, well, I heard I could get in here for free, and then turns out you can't. I don't want to be that guy. Camping on site. The address is 1822 U.S. Highway 89 North, Clyde Park, Montana. Okay? So, if anybody wants to come out for a weekend and come party with us and camp it up and watch some good music, would love to have you out there. So just wanted to throw that out, and hopefully we see some people out there. It's gonna be a good time. First ever show outside of Billings, and first ever festival show. No, that's not true. We did play the Big Sky Metal Fest. I apologize. It'll be our second festival that we've been a part of. And just a huge thank you to all the people that are putting that on and for having us perform. We appreciate that. Now, 4th of July. So, started off my 4th of July, same as always. Hot dog eating contest. Watching the hot dog eating contest. I do it every year. It is as tradition as anything else. Now, I will say, much like Joey Chestnut last year, who took a hiatus and was not appearing in the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest for the first time in many, many years, I too will be taking a hiatus this year. Unfortunately, I do not have any hot dogs to be snarfing down during this episode. I know I'm just as disappointed as you are. You don't get to hear me shoving wieners in my mouth and clip that. So I'm taking a hot dog break this year. So I do apologize. I know everybody was looking forward to it. However, Joey Chestnut is back in the win column. 17th title, ties as many titles as the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, Lakers have 17. I believe the Celtics have 18. So Joey Chestnut is a one-of-one eating champion. And he is back. 70 and a half hot dogs this guy consumed. Unbelievable. How is that even humanly possible to eat 70 and a half? How is it possible to eat 40 hot dogs in 10 minutes? Like, that's got to be like 20 pounds of food, if not more. It's probably more, because it's hot dogs and buns. I could never even remotely get 2 of those hot dogs down because of the way they soak the bread in the water. Nothing is more disgusting to me than soggy bread. It will make me throw up instantly. The idea of soggy bread makes me sick. It is baffling, the thought that a human being is able to consume that much food in that short a time. Like, physically seems impossible. But God, human beings, man, they will surprise you time and time again. Like, there's no shortage of shock of what the human body is capable of doing. And we as Americans know that eating food and eating it in abundance is very much up our wheelhouse. It's in our wheelhouse of things that we should be very good at, and apparently are. So I watched the hot dog eating contest, hung out for a little bit, went and had a couple drinks at the Crystal, then went and picked up my mother. We went to Laurel. It was the last year of the Laurel fireworks at Thompson Park, which, let me just say, is an absolute travesty. That is my all-time favorite thing to ever do for the 4th of July, is the Laurel fireworks. They are, by and far, the best fireworks show in the state of Montana. And to think that it's not going to be there, I mean, according to sources, according to people that know the situation that's going on there, they are still going to be doing the fireworks show in Laurel, I think is the hope. My question is where? Where could you possibly do that big of a show to hold that many people, all the parking, the vendors? Like, it is just a perfect spot to do it. And it's just, I don't know that it'll ever be the same not being able to do it in that park. It's honestly like heartbreaking that they're not doing it anymore. So, had to go to Laurel. There was no other options. There was no second choice. Laurel was the answer. And yeah, so that's what we did. And it was just as good as always. It was as good as it's ever been. The finale was just bonkers. Let me say 2 things that first of all, for anybody who has ever said that they don't like to go to Laurel fireworks because it's the traffic and it's so hard to get out of there, I don't want to fucking hear about it. Because I was out of there in 15 minutes. We did not leave early. We weren't like rushing to our car. We had a decent parking spot that was fairly close to the park. It took me 15 minutes to get out and onto the interstate. Like, there was a little bit of traffic. You just got to kind of like hustle a little bit. And what's really disturbing to me is the people that were leaving early. There was a ton of people that left early, which, hey, helps me out. A few less people I got to deal with. So you can tell I went golfing because I spent a little bit too much time in nature, and now my allergies are kicking out. So for the people that were leaving early, first of all, you missed a hell of a finale. Don't know why you would spend all that time to come out and hang out and then just watch part of the show. But like I said, to anybody who's like, well, I just don't like going to the... By the way, the people who left early, that includes some of my friends and family. So yeah, I'm absolutely throwing shade. Anybody who's like, I don't want to go to Laurel Fireworks because it's such a hassle getting in and out of there. It is not. And also, by the way, 4th of July was on a Friday. Why Why wouldn't you have been able to stay out a little later? Like, deal with the traffic a little bit. Who cares? Deal with it. It's worth it. What, are you going to be tired in the morning? Who cares? Sleep in. It's Saturday. You had a 3-day weekend, which was awesome, by the way. First, I go on vacation to Denver. Then I work 2 days, and I got 4th of July weekend. This is the longest. It feels like the least amount of work I've done in so long. And it's amazing. It's so great to have, like... It's going to suck on Monday, today. It's going to suck today while I'm at work, having to get back to the grind. There's nothing worse than getting back to work after vacation. It's just, you're dragging ass, it sucks. Anyway, that's one thing. One point I wanted to make about the Laurel fireworks. So worth it. Just deal with the traffic. You won't regret it. It's the best. Now, other thing, as I had mentioned previously, I feel like I'm getting old. You know, I'm showing my age. I'm going golfing, for God's sakes. Another thing that very much pointed my age out to me was at the Laurel fireworks, realizing just how much I get annoyed by anybody and everybody. I mean, I'm just sitting there looking around and I'm like, God. Like, I just look at a person, I'm like, you're annoying. You're annoying me. You're just in my airspace. I don't like looking at you. I can tell that you're an annoying person. Or like, there's a group of kids playing football, completely harmless. They were fine. And I just couldn't help myself but to like grit my teeth and be like, you know, the get off my lawn type mentality where it's like, you kids better keep that ball away from me. Or I'd watch them like, you know, bumping in, you know, their ball would fly into somebody's little area and I'm just like, oh, like annoyed by it. But 5 years ago, I would have been right there playing ball with them. So what happened to me? Huh? Like, all of a sudden, I get annoyed by some kids having fun? What's up with that? I'm just a crotchety old man now. This is who I've become. This is not who I want to be. Let me tell you that. But it is what it is. And everybody, you know, I get it. I get it now. The old people that are so grouchy and grumpy and hate everybody. I'm turning into it. I hate everybody now too. That's not true. I don't hate anybody. But I do find myself getting rather annoyed with people a lot easier and just like not being able to put up with bullshit. And there were certain kids that were kind of annoying at the fucking park there, you know. But it's all good. They're just kids. They're being kids. They're having fun. It's all good. I shouldn't be such a grouch. I need to be better about that. No Oscar the Grouch is here on the 4th of July. No. We are here to celebrate freedom, my friend. I am proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And that is true. Where at least I know I'm free. That's the least I know. What else do I have on my list here? Oh, yeah. I definitely need to mention this. So, 4th of July, especially Laurel fireworks 4th of July, always reminds me of my Uncle Don. Because he was the one that showed me, took me out there for the first time ever, and made me fall in love with it, and it became a yearly tradition to go to Laurel. I wasn't able to go last year because I was in Portland for a wedding, so this was a much needed Laurel fireworks experience because, for one, it's the last time, and I'd already missed 2 years in a row. But every time I'm sitting there listening to the music, watching the fireworks, I'm always like reminded of my Uncle Don and wishing he was sitting right there with me. I'm very fortunate that, you know, I got to be with my mom, my brother, my sister. Very rare that all of us are together. I mean, it's pretty much usually holidays or things of that nature. But, yeah, obviously very thankful to be surrounded by family and friends. We had some friends that showed up as well. But Uncle Don's birthday is coming up. You know, Uncle Don's birthday, I believe, is July 11th, and then my grandma's birthday is July 15th. So happy early birthday to the two of them. I guess that'll be coming up here before the next episode, huh? So shout out to both of them, the two people that helped raise me and make me into the man I am. I'm always grateful for that, and miss you very, very much. So just want to put that out there. And what else do we got coming up this week? Is there any shows coming up? I guess we have Strawberry Festival is this upcoming Saturday. Strawberry Festival, and then also the Brews and Barbecues out at the Metro. So we got some cool stuff coming up here this week. Unfortunately, back to work, so that's gonna be so fun. Can't wait for that. All right, let me go ahead and fill you in on my recent adventures. I'll tell you about the Metallica concert and going down to Denver with. Got to go down to Denver with cousin Aaron. That was actually his Christmas present. So I got him Metallica tickets way the hell back at Christmas time. So finally fulfilled that Christmas present. Flew down, obviously. You know me. I hate that drive. I'll never do it again unless absolutely necessary. If it's the only possible option, I will drive down there. But other than that, it's flying every time. Got there it was early in, late out. We got to Denver at about 8 a.m. And then we left at about 7 p.m. on Monday. We left 8 a.m. We got there at 8 a.m. on a Friday, and we left about 7 p.m. on Monday. So we had a full 4 days down there. And it was a blast. We had a great time. Found this cool bar called Jackson's. It's right by the baseball field, and I've seen it before. I've probably seen it every time I've been to Denver, but I've never been in there. This is the first time I've ever been, and it might be one of my new favorite downtown bars. I think it's probably going to replace Blake's Tavern because Blake Street Tavern shut down long ago. And I've been kind of trying to find a good sports bar downtown ever since, and I think I found it. Jackson's. It's awesome. We went there and watched the UFC fights Saturday night, and let me just say, your boy won a little cash. Speaking on the fights just briefly, Ilia Topuria is him. Ilia Topuria is a legit obviously, but he is bidding to be the number one pound for pound fighter in the UFC, if he isn't considered that already. I mean, his last 3 fights, he knocked out 3 former champions, 2 of which were considered 2 of the greatest featherweight champions of all time. He's knocked out 3 previous champions. Charles Oliveira had one of the longest lightweight championship runs we've seen in recent history, aside from Islam Makhachev, who I'm pretty sure that's who beat Charles for the belt. Yeah, no, I would love to see Ilia versus Islam. I think that would be a great fight. The matchup might, size-wise is a little tough, but Ilia is legit. Say what you will about him being a Conor wannabe. I totally agree. I think there's too much that he's clearly trying to be a Conor copycat or a Conor clone. And you know what? Whatever is entertaining. And the dude he's undeniable. He is undeniably a great fighter. So, shout out to Ilia Topuria. Won me a little bit of cash. Also, if you have time, if you're a fight fan at all, go watch Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. That fight might have been fight of the year. That was such a good fight. I don't think it went to the ground one time. only for like a knockdown. There was no takedowns. It was pure action all the way through for 3 rounds. What a fight. It was incredible. Joshua Van securing him. He was at the 12 seat. He was the 12th ranked fighter facing off against the number 1 ranked fighter. Joshua Van ends up winning that fight and securing himself a number 1 contendership. And also the other title fight between Pantoja and Kai Kara France. Alejandro Pantoja is fastly becoming one of the greatest flyweight champions of all time. It's going to be hard to beat out Demetrius Johnson, but he's doing pretty good. I need to take these fucking glasses off. They give me a headache. They're like pinching me right in the nose. It is bright in here now. Holy moly. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, we went and watched the fights. We stayed in Cherry Creek, which is a little ways from downtown. I can't decide if it was the right move or not because we did end up Ubering a lot, so that kind of cost quite a bit of money to do that. And I don't know. Either way, if we would have stayed downtown, it would have been super expensive still, and we would have been Ubering anyway, so I think in the end we ended up saving money. The hotel we stayed at was really nice, so shout out to the Hilton Garden Inn, I think is what it was. Went and checked out a couple cool bars. Oh, after the fights, I will say this. First time I think I've ever hung out downtown Denver on a Friday or Saturday night where there wasn't a sporting event. It was fucking popping down there. It reminded me of Nashville. Like the way there was lines out the bars. They were checking, people were having to wait to get into bars because it was just so many places popping off. And we ended up going to this place called Herbs, and they had live music in there. It was awesome. The night before, we went to this place called Inga's in Cherry Creek. That was a cool bar. It was just a little kind of corner bar. They had some live music going on there. It was a great time. Met some cool people. I love Denver. It's a great time. We had so much fun. Everybody's so nice. Didn't have any issues anywhere. We ate good food everywhere we went. Like, really good food, to be honest. And then Sunday rolls around, and it is time for Metallica. First time I've ever seen Metallica. First time I've ever seen a concert of that magnitude. 76,000 people in attendance. I believe they set the record for the 2 days combined, there was 156,000 people. Unbelievable. So, and it was funny being at that stadium on a Sunday and there's not football being played. Very interesting. Went to this little bar called Brooklyn's. So there's 2 Brooklyns. There's the original Brooklyns, which is by the football stadium, and then there's the other Brooklyns, which is by the Pepsi Center or the Ball Arena. Cool little bar. Had like a nice little outdoor patio. Like I said, I went down there with my cousin Aaron, but my cousin Gabriel, who lives down in Denver, also met up with us and ended up buying a ticket the day of the concert, which, I mean, that's awesome that he was able to do that. Pissed me off, though, because, hey, I spent twice as much money as he did 5 months before the show even happened. He gets, like, 2 sections away from us, still in, like, basically the same spot we were in, for half the price I spent the day of the concert. So I'm like, well, what the fuck, guy? I could have done that, but I wasn't willing to risk going all the way to Denver and then not being able to get a ticket. And I wanted to have good seats. And when I bought the tickets, I thought I was getting a good deal. I thought I was getting a damn good deal for the price. Apparently not. He got a hell of a deal. Now, the cool thing was... Oh, and you know what else sucks about that? He bought his ticket, and there was 2 seats on either side of him available at the time of purchase. So we could have bought tickets right next to him. I mean, it worked... It still worked out anyway. We were able to hang out and sit with him for the first 2 bands. Unfortunately, we did have to go to our original seats because the people must have bought those seats and sat there next. So we had to get up and move because, yeah. Which for Metallica, it was fine. Everything was great. First opening band was Suicidal Tendencies. Never seen them before. That was awesome. The stage setup was in the center of the stadium, in the center of the field. It was a round stage, so they could run around and everybody could get the angles on them. They had these giant towers with the speakers on them, and then also had like video display. So no matter where you were sitting, you could see the action. It was a crazy setup. There was like 30 semi-trucks outside to haul all this shit, which is just unbelievable. It had to have been a $20 million production. Just unbelievable. The stage had risers and shit because Lars's drum set would lower down and then another one would pop up so that he could be on all four corners of the stage throughout the show. That was wild. Second band to play was Pantera. Obviously not true Pantera, because you can't have true Pantera without the Abbott brothers. But it was still Phil and Rex. And then you had Zakk Wylde filling in on guitar. And the drummer from Anthrax was playing drums. They did an awesome job. So I've seen Phil Anselmo do Pantera stuff before, but never have I seen under the banner of Pantera. And I was so worried they might not play Cowboys from Hell, because I've never seen Phil do Cowboys from Hell live. I wasn't sure if he just didn't do it anymore, if that maybe was a song that he didn't want to do anymore, if he couldn't do it anymore vocally. So I was pretty sure they weren't going to do Cowboys from Hell. Sure as shit. They close with Cowboys from Hell. Day completely made. That was epic to be able to watch that. And then Metallica comes on. And they, I've never been a huge Metallica guy. Like, I don't hate Metallica by any standard. I've just never, been as big of a fan as, most Metallica people are. I feel like most people either love them or hate them. There's not too many in between. That's not true, because I guess I would consider myself in between in a way. And I always told myself I'd never really cared to see Metallica. I'm glad that I didn't stand with that notion. I'm glad that I decided to see them. It was very much worthwhile. Apparently this was Aaron's first time seeing Metallica too, which shocked the hell out of me, because he's been to so many shows, he's seen so many bands, so that was very surprising to know that he'd never seen Metallica before. Great set list. They played Ride the Lightning, which was badass, during a lightning storm. So there was a storm in the not over us, but to the distance. Somebody got a picture of them playing Ride the Lightning with a lightning strike in the background. It was it was you couldn't write it better than that. You know what I mean? It was picturesque. They closed with Enter Sandman. They played Sanitarium. They played Wherever I May Roam. They played some new songs I didn't know, and they played a couple songs that I did not like. So I looked at the set list from day one, because it was a 2-day thing. First show they played with Ice Nine Kills and Limp Bizkit. The first day, I looked at the set list of that day. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was a better set list. I probably would have preferred to hear that one, but because they played Master of Puppets, which is my favorite song by them. Oh, how could I forget? The one thing that the song that they played during our set that I was absolutely just over the moon to be able to hear was One. They did play One, and that was badass. So I can't complain too much. They played For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is another one of my favorite songs. My all-time favorite Metallica song is actually Fade to Black, which they did not play on either day. So while I was disappointed to not hear it, I was less disappointed knowing that they didn't do it at all. So, like, it's not like we missed out on day one and I could have seen it then. They just didn't play it at all, which was fine. I'm good with that. I lied. I'm putting these back on. It just completes the outfit. You gotta do the shades. Overall, great experience. Great show. First time I've ever seen a show in a stadium like that. It was well executed. I will say, I thought with Pantera and Suicidal sets, the bass was turned way up, which I didn't mind at all because you feel that right in your chest. But you couldn't really hear the guitar or the vocalists nearly as much. And then when Metallica comes out, of course, it's just completely dialed in perfectly. You can hear everything like very well. And, speaking of showing their age, like they're showing their age. Like Lars is not the same drummer he used to be. He's definitely slowed down a bit. Same with Kirk Hammett, just not quite the same speed. James, I will say, James Hetfield has not lost much of a step. Like he still has it in him. Sounds great. Still plays the guitar awesome. Like he's a solid, like he's stayed in the pocket pretty well. So overall, a great experience. Very glad to have been there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole trip, I guess. I'm trying to think if there was anything like exciting or like crazy that had happened during that weekend, and there really wasn't. We got to hang out with my cousin Gabriel a couple times, which was great. Neither I nor Aaron got too drunk, so we weren't being feisty. We weren't trying to fight anybody, like I said, everybody was so super nice, so there was no reason for that. And honestly, downtown Denver has cleaned up big time. They've cleaned up a lot of the homeless and all that. It used to be pretty bad the last few times I've been down there. Now it was pretty cleaned up, and like everything seemed fairly regular, I guess. Like it was we never felt unsafe at all. It was a great time. I love Denver. I'll be back there in December, going down for a football game. So I will get to be in that stadium on a Sunday this year. Twice on a Sunday, only once for a game. And Justice for All. That's a great tie-in for the as far as Metallica goes and the Independence Day episode. Their album And Justice for All. With liberty and justice for all. And that's true. That is true. Because a house divided cannot stand. We are all here together under the same umbrella. Oh, you know what? I was going to start, moving in toward more American political situation shit right now. But I'll save that for the end because nobody wants to really hear about that, right? Like that's not fun. I will stay in the same vein with music though, because this weekend also was the great Ozzy Osbourne's final show. And I've seen so many clips of this show that, speaking of Metallica, they performed at that show. I just keep seeing clips pop up from that show. And it looked absolutely epic. So many great artists, so many great bands paying tribute to Ozzy and Black Sabbath. Because technically this will be Black Sabbath's final show as well. You can't really, they were able to do Black Sabbath without Ronnie James Dio, but he's gone now too. Or they did Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio. You know what I'm saying. You can't really do Black Sabbath without Ozzy now. So it's the end of an absolute legendary era. The Prince of Darkness, hanging it up. Who all was at the show? Metallica played. Tool played. Guns N' Roses. There was a bunch of different artists there. Jakey Lee. Oh, Pantera performed. There was Papa Emeritus was there. David Draymond from Disturbed. Steven Tyler, just a shit ton of artists. Like, it looked like a Mastodon, I believe, played. Yeah, the list goes on. Like, there were so many great bands, so many great performers. And, they streamed it, too, so it's available to watch. I'm sure it'll come out for free at some point, so I'm just going to wait and watch it then. God, I saw a little clip of Ozzy doing, Mama, I'm Coming Home. And that damn near brought a little tear to my eye, because it's a day I never thought, you know it's going to happen eventually. The great ones move on, they either pass on or they just can't perform anymore. And honestly, I never thought I'd see the day that Ozzy would stop performing before he died. You know what I mean? Like, I figured the reason he'd ever stop performing is because he died. And he is dealing with Parkinson's, which is rough. He couldn't even stand. He was just sitting in a throne to sing. But just what a legend, for real. Like, what a legendary figure in all of music. So shout out to Ozzy. Thank you so much for everything you've ever given to the metal and music. Just given to music in general. Some of the greatest guitar players of all time played for Ozzy. Tony Iommi, fucking Zakk Wylde, Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, who was also there. Jakey Lee was there. That was pretty badass. It's just I really do want to watch that perform, just the whole stream of that, because there was a bunch of different bands were playing different Black Sabbath or Ozzy songs, which was awesome. Just a full tribute. It was in Birmingham, England, which, that's where they're from, so that's where Black Sabbath is from. So it only makes perfect sense that that's where they would have their final show. Shout out to Black Sabbath. Shout out to Ozzy Osbourne, the great one. Congratulations on your final show, and thank you for everything. Just the best. The best. I've thought about that before, too, where it's like, God, where am I going to be when Ozzy dies? Like, that's just going to be one of those days that will live in infamy. And in a way, this is kind of a death. It's the death of his musical and performing career. So it's tough. And then, of course, his actual death won't be a cakewalk either. But fortunately, we still get to have Ozzy here with us on this earth for a little bit longer. Yeah. Crazy! 'Cause that's how it goes. Millions of people living as foes. Oh, yeah. I guess we could... Fuck, I don't know what else to say on this episode, man. Like, I will say this. Okay, here's what I'll say. I am a little bit glad to have done this episode after the 4th of July. Because, for one, I was able to, talk about everything that went down on the 4th. Not what I'm planning on doing, but what I actually did do. But I was able to also remember, because this happens every year, how much the 4th of July, the actual 4th of July celebration, reinvigorates the patriotism inside of me. Like, I really do feel blessed to live in this country. I do feel proud to live in this country and to be an American citizen. And for anybody who has disagreements about this country and there's things that they don't like, that's fine. You're free to believe those things. You are absolutely within your right to have disagreements and things. And certainly, take it from me, I also know and understand that there are flaws in this system. There's definitely things within the United States of America that are not run properly. There's things I do disagree with. But overall, we are still the greatest country on earth. And people hear that and they think, oh, how could you possibly say that? Because it's true. And you know it's true because of how many people want to come here. There is a reason that this is the place to be. This is the place that everybody wants to live. And I know there's places in Europe and, Canada's fine. Even like the UAE, there's certain places all over the world that are havens of beauty and freedom and whatnot. But this is where people want to be. And there is a reason for that. It is because it is the greatest country on earth. We have the greatest military. We have the greatest... We are the beacon of hope in the world. We set the standard for what freedom is. We are the reason that so many countries in Europe adopted the same concept of freedom and the right to pursue the pursuit of happiness and all this. We set that bar. We set that standard. There's a reason that fucking England doesn't obey a king anymore. Yes, they have a king, but the king is not the one that runs the country. Not like it used to be. It's a parliament. It's a government. It's a democracy. Now, I know the ancient Greeks were the ones who invented democracy, so we are not the first real democracy, but we set the modern standard for freedom. When you live in this country, you can say what you want. That's why you're able to disagree. Do you know how many countries you can live in? And if you go against the government, if you disagree with the leadership or the way things are run, you're fucking dead. They'll silence you. They'll kill you. They will fucking remove you. They'll put you in prison. Like, you have no voice in so many countries. There are so many countries where you cannot speak your mind. And then there's plenty of countries where if you're a woman, if you're gay, if you're, a minority of any kind, you have zero rights. Not in this country. Say what you will. I know that there's certainly things that can be better. But this is by and far the freest place to be if you are of any minority. If you're a legal citizen of this country, you have more freedom than you would in any other country. We have the freedom to you can worship whatever you want. You can be out loud and proud and gay and trans and whatever. You know how many countries you'd be beheaded for that? Like, I can't even believe that that's even actually still a thing. That we as human beings in certain parts of this world are still that, like, close-minded. You know what I'm saying? It truly baffles me to know that, like, how have certain parts of this world, certain parts of the human species evolved so much further than others as far as, like, social and just human experience, the ability. How is it that I can't believe there's people that still are actually, like, legitimately racist. That blows my mind. Like, there are people like that. And it really is shocking to me, because it's like, how can you live in the year 2025 and not understand the concept that we are all human? We all bleed red. We all have emotions and feelings, and, just because your skin is a different color, just because you come from a different part of the world, means that you're not good enough? Like, that just blows my mind. There's plenty of great people all over, and there's plenty of bad people. Of every size, shape, color, creed, whatever, you know? But at least in this country, you can be whatever you want. You're free to pursue whatever brings you happiness. Some people might not like that. Some people might disagree with that. Guess what? They're allowed to disagree. They're allowed to not like it because that's part of the freedoms we have in this country. Just as you don't have to agree with them. And I stand by this notion of unity. You know, that's what I started this whole podcast with, was talking about unity. Unifying. Being togetherness. That still means we can disagree. But let's unify on the things that we do agree on. And here's the ultimate thing. We're all here. We're all human. We all have our human experience. Political bullshit and, religious bullshit, all that shit aside, we are still all equally living the human experience. And we can always agree on that. We can always find common ground knowing that we are living, breathing human beings. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. And that's the most common ground you can ever have. So why can't we just all see that side of it? Why does it got to be like, oh, he's wearing a red hat, he's a fucking racist. Oh, they're wearing a rainbow, they're carrying a rainbow flag, that means they're a libtard. Like, that's such a fucking black and white way of looking at the world. And that's just not, it's not the way to be, you know? Things are not so binary. And yeah, I fully believe governments conspire against their people. I know there's no doubt that our own government has conspired against its people, which is tyranny. But we still live under this umbrella of great laws and rules that we have adopted over time to make this still the greatest and most free country in the world. And anybody who doubts that, go live in fucking Iran. Go live in fucking, Saudi Arabia and tell me how bad your freedoms are. Go tell me how shitty your all the great shit of this country. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it takes. That's all it takes to, like, shut anybody up about, like, why they're upset about living here. If you don't like living here, that's fine. Guess what? You're free to go somewhere else. So do it. Let me know. Write me a postcard. Tell me how it is. I mean, even Canada, I have nothing against Canada. Let me just say that, first of all. I think they have some whack-ass rules. I think they have some stuff that's great. I think that some of their policies are actually really good. But nonetheless, it just still ain't as good as here. It never will be. Sorry. I mean, you can tell me how good some of these European countries are and how great this, that, and the other. I will always be able to find somewhere that the United States exceeds them. That's why everybody wants to come live here. That's why every country calls for us when they need help. That's why so many countries adopt the way we live our lives, because we did it right. Yes, we've strayed away on certain things. Yes, certain policies have been, or certain rules and laws and freedom, not freedoms, but, certain things have been abused at times. Yeah. Because with power, that's always going to happen with power, is people are going to abuse it. Unfortunately, that is just how it is. It sucks. I don't like it. But it's just the truth of the world. But ultimately, whether you agree, disagree, it is what it is. Bottom line is, you're free to have that thought. You're free to believe in what you want to believe. I'm free to disagree with you. You're free to disagree with me. And isn't that the beauty of it? But we can still get along. You know? We can still find common ground. Neil deGrasse Tyson said this to Theo Vaughn on a podcast, and it stuck with me ever since. He was talking about that there's been approximately, I can't remember the number, I want to say he said like maybe 80 billion people to live on this planet. It might be less than that. It's a pretty good number. I want to say he said 80 billion to ever have lived on this planet. And talking about just like the absolute miracle of life itself. The fact that we are here, the fact that we live on a planet that is just perfectly the right distance from the sun, that is able to sustain life. And the amount of possibilities of human life to exist at all. I mean, think about how many sperm cells, how many eggs, how many this, that, how many DNA possibilities it is to create one human. And you as an individual are here beyond stupendous odds. Like, the odds of you existing at all are unbelievably so far beyond the stretch of the imagination. I'm just going to find that quote, you know, because the way he says it is just, it's the fact that we are just here. He says, you are here against stupendous odds. And it's always stuck with me. Here it is.
There's been about 100 billion people who
100
have
billion.
lived.
Wow, really?
Yes. Do you know how many people can exist? You take a look at the genes, find out how many combinations of genes can make an authentic human being. And it is stupendously larger number than the 100 billion. What it means is you are alive against stupendous odds. You're breathing air, observing sunsets, gazing into the night sky. Most people who could exist will never experience that.
It's the gift. Because most people that could exist, mathematically,
Will never exist.
Isn't that fucking crazy? Like, doesn't that alone give you some appreciation of life at all? It has to. It has to. And political squabbles, religious disagreements, personal disagreements, it's just all futile, really. Like, it's is it really worth it when we bless me? Is all that worth it when you know, when you come to the realization that we're all here, and the odds of us even being here at all are just miraculous? Let's focus on that more and less on the disagreements. Come together. Let's unify together under God with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much. This was a very different 4th of July episode, but you know what? It's all good. We're late on it anyway, so I wanted to make sure we got it because I love doing the holiday specials. I'm sure next year will be a little bit more well put together. I was a little bit taken back. I kind of, like I said, I forgot about it, and then I procrastinated on it even more. So I apologize if this was not the best of the holiday specials, but I appreciate you for sticking around anyway, for checking it out. Yeah, let's get along. Let's all get along. Let's find the things that we are most common, our common ground, and let's stand on the common ground together. But most importantly, don't forget, life's a garden. Dig it.